If I wind up dead, he did it.
I will admit it. And I won't blame him for it.
I will blame you if you kill me.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Relationshit, our weekly after show about our podcast, Relationshit. We are your hosts, the Critellis. I am Marko.
And I'm Tony.
And it is another Blue Wednesday.
And on Wednesdays, we wear pink.
And yeah, we do. What a wonderful episode this week.
It was a good one.
It was a hard one.
It was tough.
Yeah, it was a lot. And of course you guys have listened to the podcast, so you know how tough it was as well. But again, we kind of talked about the blame game and in relationships, how easy it is to go back and forth and blame each other for the way that you're feeling about things or things that are not happening in the relationship the way that you want it to happen. And this was tough. It was really interesting.
We also talked about how it sabotages relationships and some concrete ways that you can break the blame cycle.
On this episode, Relationship, we're going to talk about the 5 ways blaming hurts relationships. And that is an article written by Neil Faba. And this was posted back in 2013, which was a very fascinating article. So I just want to start this quick conversation off regarding like blame and how much do you think blaming one another plays a role in our relationship or in relationships in general?
I can't speak for relationships in general. What I can say is that this is the second most revelatory topic that we've ever covered for me.
Okay.
I think this is the cycle that we are engaging in with each other.
Sure.
Regularly.
I know. I read a lot of things were like, ooh, that hurts.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
painful.
And when he said he's written a whole bunch of articles on it, I made a mental note that I'm going to go read more of his articles.
Neil Faba.
Because he's got a lot of letters after his name.
Faba.
But, and I really like that he also talks about this other author. So he normally talks about the blamer. And then this one, this other expert actually talks about being the blamee and the negative effects.
And this is Dr. Tom Jordan.
Of the Love Life Learning Center.
Yeah.
So it's like really interesting to see now there's like 2 more like subject matter experts that I want to like go research.
Sure.
Because this is like really resonating for me.
Good. I love it. So we're going to dive right into it. In this, the paragraph before says, I'd like to discuss several issues that Dr. Jordan has written about, and I encourage everyone to go to the source and read Dr. Jordan's Love Life website blogs. Number 1 is chronic blaming is a form of emotional abuse.
And it's worded very strongly, and it's very true.
Yeah. It is very, very worded very strongly.
And is completely accurate.
Yeah, but it's crazy because, right, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think we like to make somebody else responsible for the way that we feel about things or how much responsibility they have in the way that we do feel about things. And this kind of just, it kind of gives you the ability to take responsibility for it yourselves, but also, you know, hold your partner accountable to what they are doing, but like change the conversation just a teeny bit.
Well, and they make a distinction that being blamed for an act you didn't commit, and to take it further, an act you were responsible for but didn't mean any harm by, is a non-productive, inappropriate communication, which I love.
Super good. Super good. Love it. So number 2, the blamee subjected to a regular diet of blame may start believing that they are responsible for things that were beyond their control or with which they had nothing to do. If you keep poking that bear is gonna feel like they needed to be poked.
Well, and I will take it a little bit further and say that my experience of it is that I will react very strongly with anger if you keep trying to do that. So I don't start to like take on the responsibility. I very strongly reject the responsibility. Like, that was your life. That was your decision. You reacted that way. Like, that's not me. I'm not taking it on.
That's interesting. Number 3, down the road, the guilty feelings that the blamee experiences inevitably result in poor self-esteem. That is something that result that I feel. I think I shared this with you. I kind of grew up in a judgmental house. So a lot of things like were always like it did what you were wearing, how you were eating your food, what you were saying, like the way you were acting was just always under a microscope. So when things weren't happening, it was always like, well, this is the reason why. So I have an aversion to being judged, like, or I like to like things. So like, I hate being blamed for things as if it is my responsibility, as if I did that, like I brought that upon myself. Those things, like it really, really drives me crazy. Like, and it's something that I don't enjoy.
Well, and I love that he says, and here we start a vicious cycle as lower self-esteem leads to lower standards for what you're willing to tolerate and accept in your relationships.
For sure.
That's that pattern that just has to be broken.
Yeah. Dr. Jordan, number 4, asserts that becoming a victim of self-blame may have its roots in early childhood. So just like I was saying, like
your piece, your experience, your parents getting divorced and thinking that's your fault.
Yeah, those are things that we end up taking on as kids, and you don't realize how much it affects you.
Well, and the developing brain and when those things usually happen. I mean, it is a thing. Like, there's lots of research on it that shows, like, that's how kids process it and internalize it, because the locus of the entire world is them.
Yeah.
And so everything is a direct consequence of their actions.
It's just like you and your safety. I think, like, as a child, your safety was always super threatened. And so I think you took on that stress of all of it, and I think you had a little bit of quote unquote responsibility for some of the circumstances that you were witnessing or a part of as a child. So that's why later on in life, I think that's part of the reason why you hoard things, because all of that, like, you took that on, right? Because you wanted to feel that safety, and you don't want to be the result of things not being good. Or turning out that way. So it's crazy how that happens.
And then the obvious 5th issue is blaming reduces intimacy. How can you get close to someone when they have their finger pointed right at you?
All the time.
Right?
It's crazy. So the solutions: take responsibility for your actions and reactions, for your thoughts, feelings, and words. I just love that. I mean, I think it's like we just have to have ownership over what we're doing to contribute to feelings and or words and things like that. Like, you just have to, words mean things and we say things, so we just have to take responsibility for it.
And I love that they say, I love this line, blaming is almost never associated with making improvements in a relationship. What a great line.
Totally. Number 2, take ownership of your feelings. This also goes for the blamer and blamee. For the blamer, you are in control of your emotions and reactions to others. You have a choice regarding how you respond. I think that is huge. And then the last one is communicate with openness and with honesty. If you are blamed, discuss with your partner how you feel about being blamed, rather than point your finger back at them and blame them for blaming you. I love that.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So check out the article. Let us know what you think. It's in the show notes. We would love to hear your thoughts about it. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of Relationshit. Thank you for watching, as we've talked more about this week's topic from the podcast.
Make sure you visit our website, podrelationshit.com, for more content and information about the podcast.
And while you're there, fill out a listener situation or email us at relationshipquestions@gmail.com. Once a month, we will answer your questions on the podcast and do our best to give some guidance.
If you're not already a Patreon member, visit patreon.com/podrelationship and donate today. You'll get early access to the show, and you'll even get some behind-the-scenes interviews.
And don't forget to visit Perasso-USA.com today for all of your shave and beard needs. Use promo code Relationshit20 at checkout and get 20% off your favorite shaving creams and aftershaves and beard oils and washes and all of the fun things that Perasso has to offer. You can also look like us, which is a really good thing.
Okay. Hop on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to continue the conversation about Marco's big ego. We are at Pod Relationshit on all platforms. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We love you all.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.